Hi and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm just going to show you how I made these patriotic bottle openers, mostly out of scrap wood or cut-offs if you will. I've got some made out of pine, poplar, maple, and alder. Hope you enjoy and thanks again for watching. I went through my cut-off pile to get some pieces of wood. Here's some maple, some alder, pine, and poplar. So I'll try to make 4 with the different species and see how they look. So first I'll cut these all to the length required, which is 13 1/4. So I'll get started with that. So all pieces have been cut to 13 1/4. Next is to do the strips for the stripes, and that'll be 1 5/8 each. Here are all the pieces for the 4 different wood species. Next is figure I'm going to do about 4.5 inches from the top for the star section. So we'll measure that now, 4.5. So I've marked one board on each one at 4.5 inches. Then I'll use the square to go across all the boards. And then I think I'll do a chamfer around the outside of each piece. And then we'll be ready to do the staining. Just have to ensure they're all perfectly even. So we'll do that. Using the square, make a line all the way across. Do that for each one. So now that they're all marked at 4.5 inches, I'm going to do a chamfer all around or round over. I'm going to use a router table, but you can use any method you wish. Now I'm ready for the staining step. If you haven't done so already, you'll want to do a light sand on everything so everything's nice and smooth. So I'll start with the blue stain, which is, in my case, I had ordered previously True Blue. And then after that, the red is Scarlet Red. So in order to prevent some bleeding, just going to use these blades and just slightly hammer them into the piece on the line at 4.5 inches. Do this for each piece. So I also put some tape for the sides so that I don't get the stain too far. So I'll start with the blue. So the blue is all the tops and the side on the end pieces. And now I'll just continue with the rest, the same thing with the blue. I put 2 coats of the blue stain. Now I'm ready for the red. So the red will be on the 2 outside ones. So we can move the middle one of each one out of the way to not get mixed up. And now maybe I'll put some tape for before doing the red. So now I'll open up the red stain. And we could do the outside. The first piece. There's the first one, and now I'll continue with the rest. So I'll let this coat dry. I'll probably do a second coat like I did with the blue. Stain is now dry. I could just remove all this tape. And we can remove the utility blades. Now we're ready for the glue up. Ensure you don't mix up any pieces if you're doing more than one at a time. And the next step is to glue it all up. So I'll start with that. Just put a little bit of tape on my clamps. So now we'll apply the glue sparingly. You don't want to have too much squeeze out. Have a wet rag handy just in case you do have some squeeze out, especially for the top. Make sure they're perfectly aligned on the ends. here's the first glue up. I'll let that dry. I'll do the other 4 offline. Glue has been cured. Before going to the next step, just need to sand the back as some of the stain got on the edges. We'll do that now. Next step would be to figure out how to hang it. You could use these saw type hangers that could be put on the back. In my case, I'm going to do a keyhole. So just have to measure the center of the board. And probably about 2.5 inches down. Start it there. And I think 1 might not be enough, so I might do another one on the bottom. That would be where they're both located. I do have this little jig I did for other projects, so I'm going to use that. Here's the top one. I'll do the bottom one. So here's the 2 keyholes. I'll do the same thing for the other 3 boards. Next step is to drill the hole for the magnet, which will catch the bottle caps coming down. So I think I put that at about 4.5 inches from the bottom. And center it. And we'll drill with 1.25 bit Forstner bit. And when drilling, just have to make sure you don't go, you want to go as far as you can to have less wood, but not so far to drill through. So you have to be very careful with that. So I've drilled all the holes for the magnet. Now I'm going to install the magnets and using some epoxy to glue them in. So this is just 1-to-1 epoxy. So go. Start off with 1.5. Don't want to mix up the cap, so put them on right away. And another 1.5 for 3. And now we'll just mix that. Probably mix too much, but we'll see. So I'll put the magnets in. These are pretty strong magnets, so be careful that if they pinch your skin if you put them together. So keep them separate as much as you can until you're ready to put them in. So now I'm just ready to pour. Just put a little bit in each to start to make sure I have enough. Make sure I can have way more than enough. So I'll let the epoxy cure overnight, and then I'll sand it and be ready for the next steps. The epoxy has been cured and I've sanded the back. Now it's time to do the stars for the union. So I have this template which I previously bought on Amazon. Due to the size of the union space, I'm just going to do 5 stars. So just have to sort of center it. Something like that, I think. And then we can mark the stars. Here's the marking for the 5 stars. Now I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other 3 boards. The next step is to carve out the stars. I'll be using a fine tip profile router bit and don't have to go very deep. We just need to get below the blue stain. So I'll get started with that now. The piece of wood is clamped down so it won't move. Wear my safety goggles and we can get started. There's the first star, so now I'll just continue with all the rest. So at this point, if you like this look, you can just finish it off with some clear finish. But in my case, I'm going to do some burning to give it a rusted look. So I'll start with one at a time. Get the torch going. There we go, and then give it a nice burn on the back. So there's the first one. I guess depending on the wood species, the burn is a little different. So I'll continue with the other three and show you when they're done. Here are the four with the burn done. As you can see with the four different species, there's a slight difference in the burn. Next step will be to apply 2 or 3 coats of poly. The easiest would be to have some spray poly or lacquer, but I'm just going to use what I have on hand and going to just wipe it off for this time. And like I said, I'll do 2 or 3 coats of this poly. So we'll let this coat dry and do at least 2 more coats. Last step now is to put the bottle openers onto the boards. I do have on hand a Coca-Cola one and some brown ones. I only have 2, so I won't be able to do them all, but we'll start with the Coca-Cola. Just place it just in the blue part and center it. There's the first screw. Note the screws that did come with them were too long, so I did have to get some shorter ones so it wouldn't go through. Here's the first one. Here's the second one. I'll do the last one off camera. Unfortunately, I don't have a bottle to fully demonstrate, but I have some washers here. So you can see once you open the bottle, then the caps will just go onto the magnet, and it's a pretty strong magnet, so it should hold quite a few caps. This now concludes the build of these patriotic bottle openers. If you like this video, please think about subscribing and liking it if you haven't done so already. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye.